Recording. Hi, guys. Welcome back to the She Seeks podcast. My name is Gabby, your host. And this is my podcast where I talk about, God and how I'm learning about Him and getting to know Him and living life through Him and all the challenges that comes with while being a young adult. I've actually never said that intro before. I don't know why I did now. But hey y'all. If you're watching video, yes, it looks different. I'm in my apartment. Hey. And I'm trying out where I should be filming. I'm not sure where I want to film, so this might not be permanent, but it looks good for now. Maybe you can comment and let me know if it looks good or not. But I think it looks fine for now. Also, have a new cam, so it's super clear and crisp. Just bought that. Glory be to God, because of y'all, I have been able to afford to upgrade almost all of my equipment, which is literally amazing and such a blessing. So I'm so grateful for that. I also want to say to the video watchers, I am filming in front of my window, and in front of my window is everybody else's apartments and rooms and windows, and they can most definitely see me. So if I get a little awkward or a little ako taco, it's because somebody came out into their window and we're just staring at each other and having a staring contest, because it happens all the time. So before we get into what I want to talk about today, I want to give a few announcements. I feel like I'm in church. I'm gonna give a few announcements. One, sorry y'all, I missed a week or a few. I think I missed 2 weeks of the podcast. Are we surprised? No, we saw this coming. Why? Because I was moving into college, and y'all know how that is. But I promise y'all, did not fall over anything. I was just trying to figure out where to film, what time I can film, figuring out everybody else's schedule, because I do have 3 other roommates that live in this apartment with me, and I have to figure out their schedules so that I can have peace and quiet to actually record my podcast. And I did record one before. That one's never going to see the light of day. Like, I filmed that and didn't even watch it over to see if it was good enough. I literally filmed it, never looked at it again because I knew it was awful. But I was talking about how literally my friends were in the other room, like they were literally in our living room, and I just felt so awkward talking in here to a camera and into a mic when they were in there, and I didn't know if they were listening or if not. It was just weird and awkward and ugh. But now that we have schedules figured out and stuff like that, and we've all gotten comfortable with each other, they've all gotten kind of like comfortable with my lifestyle and me just filming everything, because that's what I do. Things are a little bit easier, and it's so much nicer now. So the podcast is here to stay. Obviously, it was never going anywhere. But I hope you guys have been doing well since the last episode. I feel like I haven't talked to y'all in a long time, and when I release these episodes, it starts conversations with you guys, and I have so many like just ongoing conversations with y'all. And as of recent, it just feels so like dormant. I haven't had those, and it's because I haven't been uploading. So I'm sorry about that, but once again, like I said, never was gonna leave, still here, just figuring out this new transition in my life. So let's get into what we're going to talk about now. So I have been feeling very como se dice, I've been just feeling very, not very down, but I've had this reoccurring thought at the back of my head that's really been affecting me. For a while there, while I was back home during the summer, I was growing exponentially on social media, just period. I was growing so fast on TikTok. I, over the summer, went from 20K to 80K, which is absolutely insane. And it was really nice. It just confirmed that this is what God had wanted me to do. He's allowing me and giving me permission to do this. And the growth was just insane, because it's something I've dreamed about ever since I was little. And past podcasts, I've talked about just how like amazing this journey has been, and the growth has been. And as of recently, when I moved back to school, which I don't know if that's the correlation with it or not, but my growth has slowed down numbers wise on TikTok. It has slowed down. The I would say the sponsorships are still coming in, but they're not as big as they were. They weren't as big as what Ross offered me, and what Walmart offered me, and Target offered me, and things like that. And so I've been feeling like, and I'm just going to be totally transparent, that my time is up. Like, I've been feeling like, like I'm done. Like, that was my peak. That was it. That was all that God had for me. That was the taste of fame that I've always wanted, and that was it for me. And it sounds crazy saying it out loud, but that's genuinely what I was thinking. I'm like, okay, so I guess that was it. Like that. And I'm so sad about it because I wanted so much more, I got a taste of it and now I want all of it, but ever since things slowed down on that app, which was my biggest growth app, I would say, um I've been very down about it, but I haven't been showing it. Like it's just been in the back of my head, just like bothering me. And I've been growing on other apps like Instagram and YouTube, which is great. But TikTok was like that was my app. And I was just confused because I'm like, I'm still doing the same things. Maybe people are tired of seeing what I'm doing, but I don't know how to change it. And then I would try new things, and it would get even less views. And I'm like, what is happening? And so I talked to my dad, and I told him about how I was feeling and how I feel like, um, I just feel like that was it for me. Like I feel like there's nowhere for me to go. I feel like that was it. And also, another addition to this is that I have always loved movies and film. I don't know if I've talked about this in a recent podcast, but I know I have, in general. I've always loved TV and film. I'm not sure necessarily what I want to do in TV and film. I never used to think it was possible for me to go into TV and film, just with the way I was raised and like kind of older sister brain, where I'm like, I'm just going to do what my parents want me to do and not tell them what I actually want to do. But recently I've been talking to them, and they're like, Gabby, if you love TV and film so much and you love fashion and film and things like that, then why not go into it? And so I was thinking that I've been thinking, like, how is me doing Get Ready With Me's on TikTok going to get me into the film industry? Like, I don't understand how it's going to get me there, and I don't see myself there, and I don't see it happening, and I don't see how it could work. It does not seem possible. So that has been hindering me as well, right? So of course I go to my dad and I tell him all of this. And I just unpack and unload on him about just how I've been feeling recently, and he tells me to read Joseph's story, but not all of Joseph's story. He told me to read because we obviously know about his brothers betraying him and all that other stuff. And if you don't, I could talk about it in the video if you want me to. But I'll talk about it a little in this one. But he said specifically, I want you to read where Joseph interprets the king's dream. And so a few days later, I'm like, fine, I'll read it. I was low key upset. I'm like, why are you giving me homework? Like, hello? Like, can you just tell me what you want to get out of it? Like, why are you giving hello? But he didn't tell me, and I was like, okay, I'll go read it. And so about 2 days ago, almost, I read this story, and it really answered everything. And I hate to say it because my dad recommended it, and he's gonna be listening to my I did that. No, I mean, yeah, you did, but okay, whatever. But yeah, so I read Joseph's story, and I want to explain it to y'all, and just basically tell y'all what I got out of it. And you know how we do. So Joseph was at the start of the story. Joseph was in a prison. He was locked up. He was in jail, for something that, of course, wasn't his fault, but something that just happened, right? And falsely accused, put into prison. He was in there. And so during this time, the king was having these dreams. He was having a dream, specifically two dreams. He was having a dream where one of them was he saw 7 fat, healthy cows, and he saw 7 really famine, he said, ugly, thin cows that he's never seen before, right? And the thin cows eat and devour the big cows, but they still stay thin. And that was one of the dreams, right? And then another dream was he saw 7 grains growing on one stalk, and it was 7 healthy, plump grains growing on a stalk. And then he saw another 7 thin, withering grains growing, and then they consumed the healthy ones, but they still stayed thin. And obviously, I'm reading this and I'm like, okay, like I don't know what this means. Obviously, I'm gonna need Joseph too to interpret. But he tells his servants, he's like, I'm having this dream and I can't understand like what it means. I don't understand what God's trying to tell me, or what he's trying to warn me about. And so one of his servants says, hey, that one time that you sent me to jail, which is a whole nother story. Like, I want to know why he sent this servant to jail. Anyways, but he said, that one time that you sent me to prison, I was having dreams. And there was a prisoner in there named Joseph who was able to interpret the dream because he's very in tune with God, and the spirit works in him and works through him. And so obviously the king was like, okay, bring me this Joseph. And so they bring Joseph to him, and the king's like, I want you to interpret my dream. And Joseph specifically says in Genesis 41 and 16, I highlighted this one because I thought this was really important. Joseph says, Your Majesty, Joseph answered, I can't do it myself, but God can give a good meaning to your dreams. And I just love that before he even used his talent, he made sure he told them that he didn't own his talent, that it was God that gave him that talent, that it was God moving through him, allowing him to help the king. I think that's super important, first off. Because we can really like get in ourselves sometimes about our talents and what we do. Oh, I'm smart, I'm this, I'm that, I'm that. Let's all remember who it came from though, and who allowed us to have those gifts. So that's just like a little sub thing. I thought it was really, it just showed to Joseph's character of how humble and how truthful he was about the matter. He said, before I do anything, I just want you to know that it's God moving through me and not me at all. All right. So I thought that was dope. So he interprets the king's dream, and the dream basically meant that they're going to have 7 years of prosperous times. They're going to have 7 years of overflowing grain. They're going to have more than enough. They're going to have over the amount of grain and food and crops that they need for all of Egypt, right? And then it's going to follow with 7 years of just straight famine. People are going to be severely poor. There's not going to be enough grain for anything. And it's going to be awful, pretty much. It's just going to be 7 years of just famine following the 7 years of prosperous times. And so his advice was, he said, you should put somebody in charge who you trust to know how to take care of this situation, and take out 1/5 of the grains that you guys produce in the prosperous time, so you have grains for the non-prosperous times, I guess. And so the king he heard this, he talked to Joseph about it, and was like, okay, well, you seem very intuitive, and you seem very smart, and just a man of God, so I want to make you governor of all of Egypt. And not only did he say he wants to make him governor, he said, I know that I'm the king, but everyone still has to go through you to get an answer and permission to do anything. How insane is that? And I'll finish the story before I actually get into what I got out of it. So he becomes governor, and he's helping them through the prosperous times. He's saving the grains on the side and all this other stuff. And then it comes to the poor times, the non-prosperous times. And his brothers end up coming to Egypt to ask for grains, because everyone's buying grains from the place where he saved it for these times. And so they're all coming from far and wide to buy grains, because of course they're all out. And his brothers end up coming, and his brothers end up seeing that the brother that they betrayed and did wrong is not dead, but is in fact governor and almost basically adjacent to the king of Egypt. And so that was like the whole wraparound of the story. It's like he gets his comeback, he gets his lick, you know what I'm saying, on what those boys did to him, and he ends up just being prosperous, right? But what I got out of it was, if you would have told Joseph while he was in the prison that he would be a governor and be adjacent to the king, I feel like he would look at you crazy. Like, I feel like he would be like, girl, please, like, come on, be so for real. Like, I feel like that's what he would have gave. And the fact that, and he couldn't have seen that coming. And the fact that all he did was follow God, and God just put him in the right place at the right time. And he ended up becoming something I'm sure he never could have even imagined. Like, even if it was prophesied, it's something that he could not have fathomed would happen. And I think it's so interesting, because what I was talking about earlier about me feeling like, how am I going to get to where I want to be from where I am? Like, it looks like it's impossible. It looks like there's no way. That's me, one, having a lack of faith, which is always a struggle. But two, putting God into a box. How dare I put God into a box based off what I can see. When he's omnipresent, he's omnipotent. He can see all, hear all, do all. And I've seen him. I've seen him do, I mean not physically, but I've seen him do things for people and even for my family and even for me that I could have never imagined. Never imagined. And here I am putting him into a box saying, "Oh, he couldn't possibly know how to get me to where I want to be." Like, isn't that insane? I feel like that's just disrespectful of me to do. For me to say, oh, you did this, but you can't do this. How are you going to do this? There's no way you can do it. What? And for me to think that I can just tell him, like, I can just make it plain, oh, it'll never happen. I feel like, and it's not something I tried to do. It was just a thought that I had. It was just feelings that I was feeling. And, I think it came at a time where I wasn't as consistent in my word. During move-in, I did fall off a little bit, and I wasn't reading as diligently as I usually do. And every day, every morning, before I do anything or before I even turn on my phone, I wasn't doing those things, and those thoughts and those feelings creeped in. Where I was at my weakest, and I really had to pray and tell God, sorry. I'm sorry for limiting your power. I'm sorry for limiting you and who you are as God. I'm sorry. Like, I really didn't mean to belittle you and your power and what you could do for me. And I think I low-key just want to get this tattooed across my forehead. But God has nothing but the best intentions for us. He loves us. He wants us to succeed. He wants us to be happy. He wants us to prosper. And he wants all the good for us in the world. If he didn't, he wouldn't take us through the hard times. But he does because he loves us so much. And I think sometimes I just forget about how he wants to see me succeed too. And so why would I ever believe that this was it for me? Why would I ever believe that this was as far as I could go? Especially when it's been prophesied over my life that there's so much I'm going to accomplish. And there's so much that God's going to make happen for me. And here I am sitting in my college apartment talking about this is it. 80,000 followers. That's it. Nothing. Just that Ross commercial. That was it for me. What? It's just insane, but it is a wake-up call. And if anybody is dealing with those thoughts, like thinking that this is it for you, it's not. But you have to pick up that faith again. You have to pick up that faith, and you have to fight, and you have to follow God. And I always bring up this scripture, but it is so prevalent. All things work together for the good of those that love the Lord. Joseph loved God. He loved the Lord. He loved him with all of his heart. We can tell by just the beginning of that story. He said, it's not me, it's God. I can do it for you, but just know that it isn't me, it's him. And just with him, just trusting God and allowing God to move him, I'm sure when he was in that prison, he was miserable. But he didn't stop following God. He didn't just shut out God's voice. He said, you know what? I'm here. I don't want to be here, but I know you have me here for a reason. And I'm thinking right now, I'm just in my prison. That sounds harsh. I don't mean it like that, but you know what I mean. I'm just in my valley right now. I'm just in that waiting period. I'm just in that strong faith period until the next big thing. And I know there's going to be another next big thing because God has nothing but the best for me, and he has promised it for me. And he says, as long as you trust me, follow me, walk through me, I've got you. I've got you. Like, that's it. I'll fight your battles for you. I'll get whatever. I'll have this thing that you've been wanting for a long time for you. I'll heal you. I'll save you. I'll fill you with my Holy Ghost. I'll give you the spirit of discernment. I'll do it all. Just trust and follow me. That is it. That is all he asks. And that's all we can do. Because we really can't do anything ourselves. It's when we take things into our own hands that failure happens. That's when that happens. When failure comes through, it's because you said, oh, I got it. No, we can't do it without God. It's proven. We can't do it without him. So yeah, that has been my recent revelation as of late. Something I've been just pondering on and reading about and praying about and fasting about and all this other stuff. Yeah, this is what has been on my mind lately. And I'm so happy that I got to speak with y'all about it. And if you guys want to talk more about it, feel free to DM me or comment on my latest post on the podcast Instagram or even on my personal Instagram. I don't care. Just talk to me and let me know. And if you guys have anything you want me to talk about or touch on, definitely let me know as well. Thank you guys for listening. I really do appreciate y'all. I hope that God blesses all of you on this morning, noon, or night, whenever you're listening or watching to this. And I love y'all. Thank you for the support. And keep having faith. Keep on keeping on, because I promise you, we're hand on the Bible, it'll work out for you in the end. All right.